Okay, guys, we are live. It's Friday night. It is Premier League weekend. I'm looking forward to it and have a chat about it. Is Ivan at Ivan Jennings on Twitter. Ivan, how's your Friday been? Tank crunchy, baby.
Good, it's good. Got through work, so a few beers in the fridge. Podcast. Look forward to the match tomorrow.
Exactly. The early one, the 12:30 kickoff, of course, at the City Ground. It's Forest Liverpool. As we said earlier, it's an old school game. Liverpool's first Premier League game was at the City Ground. We lost 1-0. I think it was Sheringham in that famous green.
You're
Do you
right.
remember that Robin Hood
You are
green
right.
with
You
the
are
three
right.
stripes?
Yeah.
Marsh. You remember about Marsh?
Yeah, Mike Marsh. Yeah.
We'd some fucking weird team there. We'd McManaman and players. We had a few good players. Yeah. Do you remember that game? The Sheringham. It was a header, was it? Was it a header?
Was a header, I think, yeah.
He's brilliant in the air, actually. Wasn't he, Sheringham? Was a good player.
Good player.
How Liverpool didn't look at him, and he looked at the likes of Nigel Clough and all this. I just don't know. I mean, Liverpool's have signed some bleeding weird players in going down through the years.
Yeah.
Obviously, he didn't pay the huge wages back then either. But
no, I like Clough. I have to say, I like Clough when he played. He scored a couple of goals against United as well. I remember he had a really good game against them.
Clough scored 2 goals against United in that famous 3-3 comeback, and Ruddock got the fucking header. Remember? And he took his head off and he was walking around dizzy for about 20 minutes after.
I remember watching that. I remember watching that in the pub, and it was back when it was it was feisty between Liverpool and United back then, but they were street
93 or 94.
It's
put in the
it's
chat
one of those, yeah. It's a good while ago, but I remember being in the pub and being delighted when they scored. And I think Liverpool finished 8th or something that year. Do you know what I mean? We were so far behind United, it wasn't even funny.
Oh, no, we were absolutely shy. They did Giggs, and I think Giggs scored a lovely goal. There was a goal in it that Grobbler led in, if you remember the game. It was a bit of a question mark over it. That's all we'd say about that game.
Yeah.
But Daz O'Connor is in, my bro Daz from Texas. Well, he's a Scouser living in Texas, of course. Liverpool Connection podcast, check it out. I think he's Gary Gillespie on it at the moment. Your latest one is Gary Gillespie, if I'm not mistaken. A legendary Liverpool centre-half, Scottish centre-half. What a player he was. But Daz O'Connor, Liverpool Connection podcast, top rate. We'll get you on soon, Daz. You can pop in here if you want. I'll send you the link. Give me a thumbs up if you want. Mark Forrest, as ever, in the house. How are you guys doing tonight? Well, we're okay. We're in a much better position as we were 2 weeks ago, Ivan.
Defo. I was worried. We were talking about coming through. Yeah, we were talking about coming through these next 2 games. Next 3 games. City, West Ham, Forest.
We would have been happy with 7 points there, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and we have been resilient. We were superb last Sunday against Man City. Everyone to a fucking man was superb. I think I was a little bit worried for Wednesday night when he made a couple of changes, but West Ham are a good side, and we grounded out. We got lucky.
We've been missing those grinds, haven't we?
Yeah. That's the resilience. That's backs against the wall. Yeah. Clean sheets, not pretty. We could have drawn the game, could have lost the game, but they're the special wins. Those 1-0s where you just drag it over the fucking line.
That Milner tackle.
Man.
Only before he puts us. That's an equaliser.
Let's go.
I think he's scoring there.
Absolutely. But the flip side of it is, look at Nunez. Fuck me, he's on fire. Those 2 chances.
I heard today that he has a tight strain in his fucking hamstring.
I heard that as well.
The big question for me is tomorrow. Obviously, he starts if he's fit, but I think the reason he took him off in 56, 57 was the very fact we can't afford any of those front 3 now. We only have 3 forwards get injured. We're fucked.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like it's so.
Do you risk him tomorrow? Do you risk him with even a tight hamstring?
Possibly not. Possibly not.
I don't think you do.
Possibly not.
I think you leave him on the bench, and if you really need him, you have to play him.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with you. You know, he was brilliant the other night. What a left foot he has! It's unbelievable. Like,
did you see that the goal was beautiful? The downward header, great cross from Simic. I mean, the ball was just a ball into the box with a lot of pace on it.
Brilliant. Yeah.
But the downward header, that's what strikers were always told to do. When you bend it, bounce it bounces back up.
Impossible.
Did you see your man why did he get him to cover Liverpool game? Your man Danny Mills. He used to play for City and Leeds. You know him?
Yeah, he's a fucking idiot.
He hates Liverpool. Why do they get? Maybe they do that for a reason. They pick him to cover Liverpool games, and he has his earphones. Ball into the box, and not a nothing ball into the box, and a downward header which loops over. It's the bounce that beats him.
It was an incredible header.
He plays goal.
Exactly, like the movement. Firstly, to get into the position where he was, to get up for the header and then to meaningfully head it like he did down into the ground. Keeper had no chance. Cracking goal.
Beautiful. I was delighted for him as well. And he could have a lovely volley off the post. I was hoping that would have killed the game.
And I think the one over the top that just went over the crossbar, that would have been an absolute cracker. Yeah.
He's trying those. He's trying those little.
He's selfish. I like that. He's selfish. And that's what
I'd like him to pass though in position. I mean, we see what happened in the City game. He could have laid 2 or 3 in when it's only 1-0, and they could have come back to bite you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I think you've got to be a bit. Salah
definitely in those ones. Yeah, definitely in those ones. He should have been squaring it, but in those one-on-ones, you know, you could see he's lashing at the ball a little bit sometimes.
Yeah.
But no, I've been happy with him. I think he's brilliant. I think he's going to be a fucking superstar for us.
No, big time. I just hope he stays fucking fit. You know what I mean? I'm just hoping he stays fit. And a big question mark over whether maybe it's just one of these things Klopp puts out in his conference today, and maybe it's not a big deal at all. He's just felt something. That's why he came off on 56, 57, and maybe it's not that bad. But the fact is, we've got so many bleeding games come up. We just can't afford to miss him, especially after him coming back from a suspension. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. And
another bit of news today was Naby Keita's back in training. Don't know whether you've seen that. Fuck, how long will that last?
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus. And Oxlade-Chamberlain. I know he came back midweek, but it'd be good to get bodies even to have
definitely.
Definitely.
Because when Naby plays, he's been brilliant. When he plays
when he plays.
I know it's absolutely when he plays, but when he actually plays, he's a smashing footballer. And again, like we get an injury to Thiago or Hendo, we're fucked again. So getting those bodies. It was great to see Curtis Jones play the other night as well. I think as well.
He did okay actually.
He did really well when he came in. I think.
Yeah.
And we need that kind of youth and energy in the team with the so many games coming up. We need them. We need as many players as we can back. The one I'm devastated over is Jota. I'm absolutely devastated.
You're ruining me Friday talking about Jota.
Yeah.
Look, he was the one out of all the 5, let's say the 5 strikers, including Diaz. I just think he gives something. He's like a fox in the box. He's awkward to play. He's like an old school striker. You don't know where he's. You know what he's going to do nearly. You know what I mean?
He was nearly my man of the match in the City game.
He was brilliant.
He was absolutely superb. Up and down, covered, kept inside to get a compact, and then bursting forward. When we had the ball, I thought he was absolutely brilliant. He's an honest player. Do you know what I mean? He gives everything. Yeah,
I love him. He's been blighted. He's had a few injuries, Ivan, with us, and I'm just hoping.
Very
he's
unlucky.
Still young. You're hoping he gets out of them. You know, they could ruin your career. I mean, look at Ox. You know what I mean? Look at Naby.
Yeah. No, Ox is a fucking disaster. He's a disaster.
Ox is more interested in the TikTok dancing up the steps. You know that type of way.
Absolutely.
But obviously tomorrow, I mean, they bought a lot of players. I mean, I think it was 13 or 14 players they brought in. How are you meant to integrate that many? As we said earlier, maybe they came up, they didn't expect to be coming up as quick as that, winning the championship. They did a great run. We knocked them out in the FA Cup final at the quarter stage. Only 1-0, and Jota scored in that game, by the way.
And I think they had a goal disallowed as well. I think they had a goal disallowed in that game.
Oh, they were in that game. I mean, that was. Now, remember, they were flying at that stage.
Yeah.
They were literally, there was nothing. They had a great home record. They haven't done, I mean, it's a step up from the Championship to the Premier League, but they've only got 1 win in 11. And I think they've lost 7, Ivan. Dropped 3. It's not great.
They started really well. I think it was it Leeds or Aston Villa they played first game, and the crowd was up for it, and I think they won 2-0. But exactly as you said, I don't think they expected to come up. He obviously didn't think the players he brought up with him were good enough. Made huge changes with all the signings, and I think, as we said, I think now they've come up. They were expecting to go back down by giving your man the 5-year contract, and I think
there was a rumor that he was going, and then all of a sudden he signed an extension.
Really, yeah.
What was that about?
Yeah, no, and I think he's a good coach. I think Carragher spoke about him. He's come up to the Liverpool
academy coach.
Yeah, he coached Carragher's kids. Highly regarded, and did it properly, like under 10s, 11s, 12s, up to 18s, 19s, 23s, the works. But I think they're doomed, and I think they know that, and I think they're locking people in. They'll get the parachute money when they go down, and they'll be looking to come back immediately and have a better plan around how they how they try and stay in the league next year.
Well, worse for them is the likes of Fulham are actually doing okay. They won 3-0 against Stevie G's. And I mean, obviously, Stevie G got the sack. I mean, I think it was inevitable. If it wouldn't have happened this weekend, it probably would have happened next weekend, Ivan. I mean, what's your take on that? You should take a while out now, maybe do World Cup punditry.
Oh, yeah. No,
you see with the World Cup punditry, what are the odds on that?
Yeah, he needs to step away now, I think, because the more you look at it, you could it's a tough one that he was in. So you're doing really well in Scotland, you win the league, you get them into the Champions League, and then a big English team comes looking for you.
A big followed team,
a massive club,
historically big club. Villa,
absolutely, they've won the European Cup. Don't forget, right? So they are a big team, right?
Man City, you listening to that? Go
on. So when they come knocking, you're always going to go. And plus, I think he was living up in an apartment in Scotland, and away from his family, blah blah blah. In hindsight, he probably should have stayed there. Another year's experience. Maybe when he comes down to England, a smaller team, maybe not in the Premiership, maybe a Championship team. Build yourself up, because he's done no favors for his Liverpool career. At Villa.
Yeah, that's I mean, there's no way he's coming in 2026 after the club. It's just not going to happen.
And whether he was or wasn't prior to this happening, he's done himself zero favors. He's stuck with players.
I think it's inevitable, Ivan, that he comes in at Liverpool. Everybody seems to think it's inevitable. I don't know.
I think in time it is. It's kind of like Pep at Barcelona, and different players.
You've got to be, as you say, you've got to have some success, or won something, or even one promotion with a team.
Yeah.
If you go down, that type of way. Say, look, your man Cooper did a Forest. I mean, it's hard to win the Championship.
It is.
It's a tough bloody league to win.
That's why I think it's such a big step from him to go from Rangers to Aston Villa. Like, on paper, it probably doesn't look like a big move, but it's a fucking huge move. And you're coming up against top teams, and he has his own style of football, and I don't think he thought by taking Villa he'd be getting beaten every week or doing really badly every week, and they're 17th in the Premiership, and that tells you
trouble.
They are in massive trouble,
and especially getting beaten by a team that are going to be down around the bottom. That was a 6-pointer. Fulham won 3-0. I know they had a man sent off. Your man Louise, who we were looking at, your man Douglas Louise got sent off. That didn't help. But Fulham were well worth that win. That's the problem for Aston Villa. You know what I mean?
His problem is probably his strong point as well. Like all the great managers, they're very dogged in their opinion, and they're loyal, and they stick with systems, and they stick with players. And he's done that. And I think the players have kind of let him down a little bit. You know what I mean? Coutinho hasn't performed for him.
Yeah, that hasn't worked out, has it? It worked for a little. Maybe 4 or 5 games, and everybody was going, Liverpool made a mistake there. Just didn't work.
Didn't work. And there's other players, like he put his balls on the table by taking the captaincy away from Tyrone Mings and giving it to John McGinn, and that probably worked. And I think it's improved McGinn as a player, and it's probably taken a bit of responsibility off Mings. But Coutinho for me is the one that's kind of let him down there. So he's like. He's got a lot of work to do to get himself into the frame for the Liverpool job, and that's years away from him.
Oh yeah, dear. Well, Klopp's hopefully there for you. Klopp could extend from 2026 anyway.
Yeah.
But I heard Klopp.
There's a lot to be said for him coming in to Liverpool as a coach. There's a lot to be said from coming into Liverpool as a coach. I think that would be
maybe even the youth team.
I would say that would be his best bet, to come back into the system and take the 23s again or whatever. Hey Doug, or maybe come in on Klopp's coaching staff, as one of the 3 or 4.
You think that? I mean, a club legend coming in. I don't know.
Well, I would say
on the coaching staff, I don't know.
Well, I would say if he is humble enough to say, "This is my route in, and I'm going to work with Klopp for a couple of years. I'm going to work with Pep Linders for a couple of years." Obviously, it'd have to be a club decision and all that kind of stuff. I just think he's going to find it very difficult proving himself somewhere on a pathway to the Liverpool job, because he's going to want big jobs, and what he actually needs is experience at smaller clubs and to kind of go under the radar a little bit and build himself up, because he's exposed here everywhere. Rangers, huge team. Aston Villa, huge team. So he's done himself no favours.
No. Doug from Doug Football Channel is on with Ben from Mr. Dora tonight, the Forest fan, of course. I was with him last night in his channel. Check it out. He's a top guy. He's a proper Forest fan. He is. That should be fun because it was fun last night when I was talking to him. I know him well. Doug from Doug Football Channel, a top class YouTube channel as well, guys. Like and subscribe. As I say, look, you should have stayed at Rangers. There's one there. GWYL, yeah.
And the Rangers fans are not happy,
yeah.
And the Rangers fans are not happy with him leaving. Absolutely not. They feel that he
they certainly weren't happy. I've seen a few reactions. It got a bit rough at times, didn't it? The reaction.
Yeah. They wanted to hang on to him. He was doing a good job,
Yeah. But as you say, it's a big job. I mean, look what we did, and we weren't even particularly playing well. Let's be real. We weren't coming into that game full of roses. It was 1-1 at half time. They fell apart second half. And even in the first game, we could have beat them by 4 or 5 because the keeper was pulling bleeding saves.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
There we go. So Eamon Kelly agrees with you here. Stevie should have managed in the championship. He'd be a good experience from. Yeah, listen, he'll actually get good experience from being sacked from Aston Villa. Let's be real. I mean, you can turn a negative into a positive as well. He's still young. I mean, he's had such a good start with Rangers, winning the league. I think you were unbeaten. I think he went unbeaten or something ridiculous like that. Bit of European football, then to come down to the Premier League to a big historical club like Aston Villa and not do as well as you would want, get sacked. It probably resets you, Ivan, in your head as well, and what you're looking for and what you think you need to do.
What I find funny is, it's not even funny, but you watch the coaches and you watch Brendan Rodgers and you look at Stevie. The one thing that they know when they go into a job is it's only a matter of time before I get
crazy, isn't it? It is mad, isn't it? It's cutthroat. It's like politicians.
It's totally cutthroat. So, but I think if you can land that in your own head that unless I do absolutely fucking superb here and win something, and even if I do win something, I'm on the clock is ticking for me in terms of when I get the sack or not. And when you start losing games and you losing strings of games, the writing's on the wall. So, like, while Steve's obviously devastated and it's not good, and you need to reflect on it, the writing's been on the wall for him, and he's known.
As I said, if it didn't happen yesterday, it was happening next week.
Totally.
There's Mark putting in my chat with Dor on tour last night. Check it out. It's good crack, actually. He's a sound bloke. He's a proper. He goes to all the games, every home game, every away game on tour. Literally goes around everywhere with Forest. So check that out there. Thanks, Mark, for putting that up. Hit the like, hit the share. North Red, I believe Jurgen Klopp could take him on the staff. There you go, Ivan.
Yeah.
Well, we know the two of them are like that.
Yeah.
Like
and I think you were saying there, I think Klopp said in his press conference today that he spoke to him
take
this
a break.
Morning.
Take him a hiatus.
Yeah.
Maybe come in January. Yeah. Get the World Cup punditry out in Qatar or wherever it is and, do that type of thing. Take 2-3 months off your family. Yeah. Bit of a sun holiday in Dubai. You'll see him in Dubai, I'm sure, in about a week or two, sitting beside the pool. And then come back. You know what I mean?
I love that. I know it's very old school and it's very boot room, but I love that whole process of
continuing
on and promoting from within and learning. And I know sometimes
that is old school.
It's very old school. It's very old school. And I know you can sometimes come up a bit of a cropper, like when you see the likes of
Lampard. Lampard. When he was at Chelsea, I mean, it doesn't always work.
No, it doesn't.
And it can tarnish you, Ivan.
Yeah. Like you think of Ronnie Moran coming through, and like I don't think he was the best coach technically. He had a great team, a great team of players. But look at the others: Dalglish coming through, Fagan, Paisley, even the likes of Thompson would have been close to that, and Souness, and I think that whole
Souness made a fucking.
He made it.
You know what I mean?
He made a
he absolutely made it. He did a Liz Truss on us. You know what I mean?
He did.
He did a Liz Truss on the fucking Souness, but we won't mention more than that. But just bad signings. I mean, Julian Dixie. Remember Julian Dixie at West Ham coming in? He did about 4 good games for Liverpool.
Totally the wrong type of player.
Big money at the time. Phil Babb, never rated him. Coventry City, he came in. John Scales was decent. He signed in from Wimbledon. Big, tall centre half. That type of thing. But again, really bad signings.
But again, that's the sign. That's the sign of a very dogged person, that they've got their own opinions. They see something in a player, and I'm sure other people at the club would have gone, Phil Babb, are you sure? Really?
Phil bad.
Phil fucking shite.
I think he was 3.5 million, and
Yeah.
at the time that was something like Roy Keane was going for.
Yeah, mad money. And
Ridiculous
he
money.
was a fucking accident waiting to happen every time he got the ball. Oh my God. But again, I'd say soon as kind of
He's
came
an Irish
in.
international. That's the only thing I'd say about him.
My player, I'm going after him. I think he's going to be brilliant. And just being a bit ruthless. So I actually think Stevie coming in, watching how things work, watching how Klopp does things, learning a little bit more.
Yeah,
that would be a very humble thing to do, and I think that's his.
I'm sure. I mean, they're in contact with each other. I mean, he even said he sent him a message today. They're in contact with each other. I'd say monthly or weekly. Yeah. Stevie's probably asking questions when he was at Villa. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gary McAllister's there as well.
Exactly.
You know,
so, and I think that's another good sign. Like he's got a serious reputation. Like as a player, obviously, probably our best ever player, right? And I think when he went into management, I'd say he was more than confident that he could attract players.
Yeah.
On his reputation, and I think to have somebody like Gary Mack as his number 2, that says a lot about him.
What a player he was, Gary Mack.
Exactly, yeah.
I did a video with Gregory Vigneault, Liverpool fullback, back in 0001. He actually won the league with Rangers 0405 and the League Cup. And he turned around to me and said he doesn't know whether because he actually could have won the Champions League with Liverpool. Benitez let him out on loan. Remember, same season. He won the league and league. Well, I mean, league cup was decent for him. He played something like 40 odd games or something, so he was right in the thick of it. But as he was telling me, like Stevie G, actually only last week I said it to him when I was talking to him. He's done all his coaching badges now. He's finished all his coaching badges next year, and he could become even a Premier League manager. And I said to him, I'm gonna be watching you. You're coming in, baby. Probably get a job in France first, obviously. But you never know when he'd be in touch with Stevie G now because he got the sack.
Yeah. I know. I like Stevie will walk into a job somewhere. Do you know what I mean? But he needs to be smart about his career, and not rush in. You know. And I actually think he is a good coach. Like he's proven himself as a good coach with Rangers. Like that, you can't take that league title away with him. You mentioned Lampard. Lampard's done fuck all. Everywhere he's gone, he's done fuck all. He's done it on reputation. Do you know what I mean? And his dad, and
Kelly, Roy Evans.
Roy Evans, who I was talking about. Sorry,
team Roy Evans had was unbelievable.
Yeah, that's who I did.
We nearly won the league with that team.
Yeah.
You know that, don't you?
Yeah, but I've met him a few times at Liverpool gigs. The nicest fella you could meet.
Yeah, lovely. His son actually, Stephen. I think I'm not sure if Stephen does podcasts with a friend of mine in Liverpool.
Yeah,
Liverpool fans,
a lovely fella, and I've had pints with him and danced with him and sang with him.
With him?
Yeah, he's absolutely great.
Yeah,
crack.
Humble.
I'd question how he could do a team talk with a bunch of Premiership players.
Did he buy you a pint?
We were drinking we were up in Belfast doing a Liverpool night with the Dublin 15 supporters club, and we got him absolutely banjoed drunk, and I mean banjoed. And we had it was kind of like Q&A with him, and he had somebody in helping him. He was that drunk, right? He didn't answer any of the questions he was asked. He was polluted drunk. It was fucking brilliant. But again, I
tell you, they love those gigs, don't they?
Big
fan. Love those gigs. Although Grobbler, they're all on the market here, and he fucking loved them.
Brilliant. It's funny now. I was watching. I'm not sure if you saw the program the other night, Dave, on Panorama about the Champions League final.
Yeah.
And you see McAteer on there. His missus got badly hurt there.
Yeah.
He was in tears describing what went on there, and some of the.
I'll tell you what, that was just look. No one was killed in that. The simple as that.
What they were saying, like the kind of tone there was, they had the guy, the professor who did the report on Hillsborough, and he was saying that the only thing that prevented people dying there was the Liverpool fans' understanding of
the reaction
Hillsborough.
Of the Liverpool fans, basically, or non-reaction, basically. Non-reaction.
Having been in or having a very good awareness of something like that from Hillsborough, where they didn't run forward, they didn't crush. There was people up standing telling people just to stand still and not move. Fucking scary.
I'll tell you what, it would put you off totally. I mean, my brothers were over there for a few Ireland games over the last few years, Ireland-France games, and they've had stories even for them games. And that wasn't Liverpool or... Yeah. So they've always had a problem with crowds over there, and problems coming in and out with a bit of gouge going around with their knives and pickpocketing, and you know, especially when there's a match on.
Yeah, even the police, like the Merseyside police, sent in a report to their buddies in France and said, "Listen, Liverpool fans have behaved themselves over the recent years in Europe. There's been no issues whatsoever. If you get in a position with them where you have to try and corral them, you should be nice to them and you should try and engage with them and talk to them. But if you go heavy-handed with them, they will respond to that. So don't do that. And apparently that report is just thrown in the fucking bin.
Fucking disgrace. Absolute disgrace.
Absolute
North
disgrace.
Red, who was probably at the gig with you in Belfast, actually. North Red, there you go, look.
Yeah.
He's
Oh, head case.
With him as well.
Fucking head case. And of course, everyone's buying him points, and of course, he's drinking all the points. He could have had 20 points. He was absolutely banjaxed.
Yeah.
Banjaxed. Great crack.
So, okay, we get back to the big game tomorrow. I mean, what would you do? Obviously, Nunez, that's thrown a bit up in the air, to be fair. I still think there's a good chance he'll start, but the way games are coming, would you risk it with a tight hamstring? Imagine playing him. Klopp, look, this is the catch-22 for Klopp. Klopp plays him, and he gets injured. He's a hamstring, and he's out to fucking the World Cup or something. We're rightly fucked. Or Klopp rests him, and he comes on next weekend. I mean, I don't know what the fuck you do tomorrow with Nunez. Do you play him, or do you put him on the bench? Or
I
just
put him on the bench, Dave. I put him on the bench. I don't think there's any. I don't think there's any need to. Like, if there is any hint of a risk there, you don't play him. You don't play him. And it's not like we're
to be fair, we should be good
enough.
We should be able to put a team together to be fucking Forest.
Exactly. I think Salah seems to be back on form. He just doesn't get
play
injured.
Carvalho up there.
Yeah, Carvalho played well the other night as well. So I'd be bringing some of the kids in. Curtis Jones back there, Elliott, Carvalho.
Yeah. Give me your 11. Give me your 11.
I'd go
Alisson,
Trent, Robbo.
You put Trent in, yeah?
Yeah. I know. I think you could say there was maybe one instance on Wednesday where you could question his positional sense when they got in behind him, for the chance that Milner got the block in.
Yeah, but that's another one that goes down as a goal only for Milner, doesn't it? I mean, it's a goal chance,
Totally. But apart from that, I think Trent played all right. So I definitely play him. I'd go.
It has to be.
Yeah. Will he play Henderson again? I think he might.
I think the only question marks are what you just said. If it's Henderson or Fabinho in the middle, and if Nunez plays or doesn't play, and you play out of Carvalho, and I think Elliott plays tomorrow actually.
Elliott plays. Yeah. I don't think he'll start Jones. I think he'll bring him on as a sub again. But I would not start Nunez.
Yeah, I mean, with the Ajax game, it's not a midweek. I mean, we only need a point, but it's still a tricky, You don't want to lose that game, and then it all goes down to the fucking Napoli game. You know what I mean?
And who we got next weekend?
Leeds at Anfield, 7:45
on Saturday.
On Saturday.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's an unusual one. As far as I know, I think it's 7:45 next Saturday. The late kickoff. Now, there's another one. Leeds aren't playing quite good, but we got to get tomorrow. Get the 3 points. Get the qualification in the bag midweek.
Yeah.
And then you look at the Leeds game. Leeds aren't playing great. Hopefully, we'll have got that bit of confidence coming in. Kanate's back in training, hopefully Monday as well. Gives a bit of boosts. That type of thing. You'll have Naby,
I would have seen
more training. Ox.
Yeah, I would have seen it as these 3 games as a kind of a little bunch of games. City,
Huge.
West Ham, Forest.
Huge.
Let's park them, and then we look at next week, because I think he can make lots of changes for Ajax. In fairness, right? If we have players back and we're kind of comfortable. So I think tomorrow's the priority. No, don't start Nunez, Gary.
Well, Nunez just has a slight strain, a hamstring strain. I heard Klopp mention it twice today. Then I was reading a bit. Now, maybe that was the reason he came out. I was wondering why he came off on 56. Were you wondering why? Maybe it was a pull.
I think it must have been. There's no way he takes him off, because he was
the game's in the balance on 56.
Exactly. The game's, and he was the difference.
He was dangerous. He was more dangerous than Salah.
Yeah. So
that
I think
does answer the question of why, because I was saying that's a silly sort of substitution.
He never makes a change.
Are you just doing it to fucking save him? But you wouldn't do that 1-0.
You don't do it 1-0. He never makes a change that early. You don't take your striker off after 56 minutes, who's just scored and is looking like the most dangerous player on the pitch. So
here's a question mark for you: would you play Milner instead of Trent?
No. We need to get Trent back into the team, I think. If you look at it from the City game, and I know he was out and he only came on with about 15 minutes to go, everybody else who has been underperforming has upped their game. Fabinho's up this game, Salah's up this game, Van Dijk's up this game. Trent has to do the same, and I think what he might be doing is, Trent was in the firing line. He was getting all the fucking jip in the neck, but it was the system and it was the players around him who were also underperforming. So maybe it's get everybody else back and up and running, and then I can slot Trent back in, and he can fit in. So Van Dijk's definitely back on form. Henderson's back on form. So all those little pieces that are around Trent.
I think tomorrow he might go with he might go back to the 4-3-3, especially if Nunez doesn't start. He loves that three in the middle. He might go back to the Hendo, Thiago, Fab.
Yeah, I think we can in that game. It's not one of those more. It shouldn't be one of those more difficult games where we need lots of cover for Trent and to be really attacking. Like, we should be okay with a 4-3-3. I would have thought.
Unless we do something silly in the first 10 and we give that will be a crazy crowd, old school crowd at the City Ground, of course, a big stadium. I've been in it. And it's just, we don't want to be giving hand away silly there. We just don't want to be like we have been. We haven't been in the last two. We've had 2 clean sheets.
I think exactly.
Of course,
huge, brilliant. Absolutely huge. But I mean, our starts in the last 2 games have been really good. Do you know what I mean? We haven't looked shaky. Where the previous games when we were conceding, we looked afraid. We haven't looked afraid. Yeah. He got them going for the City game, and they've carried that into West Ham the other night. But
that's what confidence does, and breeds confidence and mentality, and everything just starts to click. And then you look back now, well, where the hell was that last week? You know what I mean? Exactly. Thomas going 3-0. Nunez brace if he starts. If he starts, I think Nunez will score. It's actually one of those games you want Nunez to play because you think he's going to get, wouldn't you? You think he's going to get a few chances, but I don't want to risk him. That's the only big issue. And I'm sure Klopp, he said he was doing a late training session tonight under the lights, so they'll probably pick the team tonight and see how he is. You know what I mean?
I'm sure it'll come out on Twitter tonight what the state of play is, but I wouldn't risk him. There's just no point.
Matip's not far off, I don't think. But Kanate's back in training, hopefully all going well on Monday. It'd be good to have him back even.
I would like
for the Leeds game.
Yeah, I'd like to see Konate back in the team. I think Kanate's pace and strength really helps Trent.
I think Amy Kelly's a good point here with Jones. I think he might. I think he might. You know where Elliott usually plays, and he might play Elliott if let's say Nunez doesn't play and he goes with Bobby Salah, Elliott, and pulls Jones in behind and does a Thiago or a Fabinho or a Hendo, whichever one he wants there, and then goes the back 4, as you say, Trent, Robbo. I think Robbo plays. I don't think Simic can start tomorrow. He might start against Ajax away midweek, and Gomez and Van Dijk. I think it could be something like that. I think Jones has a shout tomorrow. Yeah,
maybe. It's a hard one, but I definitely think Nunez. I would, if there's any hint of a injury there.
Fuck's sake, we cannot. I won't be able to cope if Nunez gets a fucking injury and is out for a few weeks. Nunez, Jota, there's a front 3. There's your front 3 you're nearly thinking about.
Nightmare.
Fucking hell. It's ridiculous, Ivan, isn't it?
Oh, it's crazy.
I'm even thinking, is it the training bleeding regime? I mean, it must be something. They must have looked at it. Has to be. You can't always be getting these ligaments. Not every club gets them. You can't be just that unlucky. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we have been unlucky
as well. The intensity.
Yeah, lots of games, 2 games a week. For 3 games really. When you think about it, Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday, or whatever, Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday. Yeah, I just think we've been so unlucky. We've been so unlucky
at key times. The key players. I mean, as you say, Jota was a big one. Diaz was a big one. Diaz was one of our better bleeding players. Then Konate gets injured and Matip get injured. Right, that could have cost us. I mean, we'd only 2 fit centre half. We'd Phillips there as well, of course. But I mean, the wrong time. If we can get Konate back in, maybe even before the Leeds game next Saturday, be an on the bench, it just gives you something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's why I think it's so good. It's great now that we've
wow.
Yeah, I think it's great though that we've come through a really hard period with lots of injuries, and we've come out the other side.
No, as you said, these were the huge games. I was worried we were all worried about the City game. I was even worried, to be honest, with the Rangers game because we weren't going into that full of confidence with the Ibrox crowd and all. I mean,
it was the City game. The City game I was worried about. I know, and I think everybody was going, do you know what? We're walking up here for fucking arse kicking, regardless of who they play. And we put it up to them. We were rock solid. And now I know we had to defend in places, and there was goal line clearances and all that kind of stuff. But you're always going to give up chances against Man City. It's how you stand up to them and you take your own chances. And we were fucking brilliant.
I think, Tom, I think he might go the old school 4-3-3 for an old school game, as we say. Most important thing tomorrow, Ivan, is just no more fucking injuries and the 3 points, no matter what way you get them. It's just about leaving there at 2:30 or whatever they leave, 3 o'clock, with the 3 points in the bag, and then look forward to Ajax. Hopefully everybody intact. I don't care if it's an OG 1-0. I think it'll be tight. I don't think it's going to be 3-4-5-0 one day. I heard fellas talking, and you're going to hammer them. Although Forest are 11-1 at home to beat Liverpool. I seen something today, Paddy Power. 11-1.
No, we should be. Well, I'd love us to go out and get 4 or 5, because it would go, okay, lads. You've had Man City. You've done them. You had another tough one during the week against West Ham. Done one there, and another clean sheet. And now you got bottom of the league, and you spanked them. That would be superb.
But as North Red is saying, after the World Cup, the thought that we could have everyone fit and ready to rock would be a dream. The only good thing in a way you could say is the World Cup's actually given us 4 or 5 weeks there for the likes of Jota and Diaz to recoup and ready to rock. That's the only good thing to come out of it, I'd say.
I think the fact that we have the World Cup there and we've had a bad start, teams are going to, and we could be one of them, but teams are going to lose players. That's a fact. And they're going to be impacted. We don't lose as many.
I think in the top 6, we're one of the fewest. I mean, even Jota now won't be going, obviously, because he's injured.
Well, that's what I'm hoping. Like the City could lose a couple of players. United will lose it. Chelsea, Arsenal, whatever. So I think that little bump in the middle, I'm hoping is going to play into our hands, and it'll allow us kind of.
Do you know who we play? Do you know who we play back when we come back on Boxing Day, Stevens' Day, the day after Christmas Day? It's the first league game we play back. Aston Villa away. I was going to say Stevie G's team, but you know what I mean.
It'll be Pochettino's team then.
Do you think so? Pochettino go to Villa?
I don't think he'll go there, but he's been linked. I don't think they're big enough for him now, in fairness.
No. They're a big club though, Villa, to be fair. And I mean, he needs a stepping stone. I don't know about Pochettino. People have him up here. I don't know. I don't know about him. But Ivan, I think we leave it there. I mean, I'm going to go 1-0. I think it's going to be a tight game tomorrow. I said 2-1 on Mr. Doss. I actually have to stick to 2-1 because I did say 2-1 to him yesterday on the Forest channel. But once we win, I don't care. The big question mark for me is Nunez. Whether he starts or whether if he's not going to start, I don't even know if he's going to be on the fucking bench. If he's not going to risk him, you know what I mean?
3-0 for me.
3-0. I take the 12. I will be doing an instant match reaction straight after the game, probably literally 5 minutes after the game. Get loads of people in usually. So instant match reaction straight after the game tomorrow. It's an early one. 12. Forest. Liverpool. Will Liverpool be Robin Hood tomorrow? Or will we be the sheriff? I'm not sure. The sheriff of Nottingham.
Oh, God.
The referee be the fucking sheriff of Nottingham on the VAR. That's the problem we'll have.
Usually the problem.
I'll just take the win, no injuries, and go again. Enjoy your weekend, guys. A lot more chat and fun to come. That was Ivan at Ivan Jennings on Twitter. This was Dave's LFC Chats. It's Friday night. Liverpool to be Forest tomorrow. I'm confident. Ivan's confident. Let's hope Nunez is okay. We need him on the pitch, and we need him scoring goals with that lovely new haircut. Stay safe. Talk soon. You never walk alone.